How are you doing?
Okay, okay.
Are you all ready for the holiday season?
I'm certainly
Somewhat.
very
I'm
close.
ready. Not ready to buy any gifts, not on my salary.
Listen, I hear that. The gift of love is all we need.
Yeah, there you go. And I have lots of that to give.
All
So
that
yeah.
matters in this
I'm
day
not
and
saying that the gift of love is all I need.
Yeah, I know that's right.
It's nice to have, but other stuff is too.
Well, according to our administration, we're not gonna the department chairs will not have a job come June 30th of next year.
What is
Yep.
it?
Yeah,
What?
we got an email on the 12th of November at 4:41 p.m. saying that the administration is cutting all department chairs come June 30th, 2026. So I might have to come to one of y'all for a job.
Well,
Oh
And I
listen,
think
no.
I think
that's
what
why
made it
we're here
what
making
made it
these
worse was
connections.
that, they did this while we were still in, collective bargaining, which, is
Wow.
really a problem. But then, a couple weeks later, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, after we've been in bargaining for 3.5 hours, they sent termination emails to the resident faculty. I was like, this kind of low class,
Wow.
you know,
Mm.
type stuff. I don't know what's in the water here in the Potomac, but it makes people
Yikes.
act a fool. So yeah.
what school are you at?
Mm.
Prince George's
Prince
Community
George's
College.
County.
Hmm.
After 3 years of trying to get them to come to the institute
Right.
as a
That's I'm just
recruiter,
like, what?
and now you got this happen.
Um,
So yes, I'm in full rebellion mode. I got my public enemy. It takes a nation of millions to hold us back.
All right.
Got my African gear on. So yeah, I'm ready.
I hear
In
you.
true
I
in true
hear that.
fashion, in the spirit of my parents who were, part of the civil rights movement. So,
Good stuff. That's what we're here for. That's the way to keep the world moving forward. I
yes,
truly
ma'am.
believe. I truly
Oh, and
believe.
certainly Lanice and I send our condolences. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, thank you.
You're welcome.
Uh, today we're just gonna kind of again keep this very informal. I think that it is wonderful when we have very structured meetings and agendas where we're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this for 5 minutes, we're going to do this for 10 minutes, and that is it. And I would also like for this to be a space where we can be very creative about how we can continue to support you all as program graduates and how you all can continue to support and invest in our program and the current students that we have. So, one of the, let's see, a couple of, not housekeeping, but a couple of formal announcements. Dr. Abraham has officially retired, and so his final day with us at the office was November 26th. Um, you can still reach out to him personally. I think if you try to email him now, it will, give you his personal contact information so you can reach out to him. I know he would love to continue to stay in touch with all of you. Um, Number two is that SREB does have or has announced our new president. So many of you know that our former president, Stephen Pruitt, left SREB and is now the president of SAC-COC.
mm.
And so over the past 6 months, we've been, as a staff, going through a lot of meetings with the hiring committee. We've been having all kind of like, we definitely need this. Please, God, make sure you get that we have these things in a new leader. And so I think it was last week the board and the executive committee officially announced Valerie Greenhill as our new president for our SREB. She's coming to us from the private sector, which will be a change for us that, we're looking forward to. She will be starting February 2nd. So in the meantime, Dale Winkler has, continued to be our stabilizing force as our interim president, but we are looking forward to bringing in Miss Greenhill in just a couple of months. Um, I think that's it mainly for announcements. Our office will be closed this Friday through January. So if you need anything, please reach out to us before 5 p.m., preferably before 4 p.m. on Friday, the 12th, because our entire office, so not just doctoral scholars, but the entire SREB organization will be closed down for an extended leave, and we will be opening the offices back up on Monday, January 5th. So I just want to put that out there so all of you know and are aware of that. One of the big things that I wanted to talk in a little more detail about today is number one, how was your experience at the Institute this year? Um, we've heard a lot of different things, mostly good things, from I really needed to be there. I'm glad I didn't miss it to yeah, this seemed a little different in terms of the topics that we may have been discussing, and it felt like the appropriate moment to have some of those discussions. So I would like to just get a smidge of feedback from you all of what your institute experience was from this past year, and maybe something that you're looking forward to for the institute for next year. So I'll let anybody start off popcorn method. I don't want to call anybody out, but I will do it if you're too silent. So I'll just put that out there too. But please, Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was probably, and I've, been coming since 1998. It was probably overall the best experience
Yeah.
for me, both personally and professionally. Number one, my wife came with me, and to kind of give you, a story. She was probably the main reason. She and my kids were the main reason that I did not quit. Because I was going into the dissertation year. I already been at Meharry for like 8 years. I just was gonna, go out, walk out the door with a terminal master's and call it a day because, bills had to be paid. So, I approached her. I said, well, Dr. Abraham is retiring, so I think you really should come. And so, we had the speakers were just incredible. I mean, I can't even, lie about that. And of course, as you guys work me to death every year, presiding over sessions, Robert, I see you. Um, Um, I met some amazing people this year. Matter of fact, one of them, Bill Herbert, we wound up hanging out, at Sweet Georgia Two joint,
Nice.
Saturday night, watching some live music and eating some good Southern cuisine. So I
Nice.
think that was it. I mean, there was a little bit of tension, I think, because of what's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
And certainly, and I know Ivory Tolson, and I was just sitting there waiting for him to say the key word. And as soon as he said it, as soon as he said
You
racism,
definitely
I'm like,
did.
okay, yeah, that's the 800-pound gorilla, in the room, everywhere. So the fact that we dealt with that in that forum, I think was great. Um, you know, um, my only issue was some of the things with the hotel because we were in a room that had a phone that did not work. So but again, I've been coming since 1998 in San Diego when it was barely 200 folks, and now to see this thing in the thousands, I mean, it was amazing. It was the best institute that I've ever been to. Caught up with my Harry colleagues like Dr.
Nice.
Gonza there. It was fantastic. So just since I don't know where I'm going to be, but I know next year it is in Crystal City, in my neck of the woods thus far. I will just make sure that if you get a room, make sure that the telephone works.
Gotcha. I'm gonna put that down on the on the notes section of your registration.
I'm done.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for sharing that. Tomar, how's it
Hi.
going?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback a little bit off of what Thomas said, but it really was the best conference that I have attended. I haven't attended too many of them. I think a total of like five since I graduated in 2000. But I'm going through a season. I don't know if any of you are going. I'm pivoting in my career. I'm one of the 300,000 women who will let go of their position. So I don't have a research lab, but I have research experience. I also have experience in education, mentoring, training graduate students. So I've been pursuing positions like in education, like education. And
Yeah,
so I talked to Dr. Abraham and he just like, you just need to sit back and just absorb. And that's what I did. It was revival for me. I needed it. I need to be
yeah,
rebooted. I needed to just sit back and when I just want to say when the students graduated and walked across the stage, I just cried my eyes out because I remember that feeling. And it's like it rebooted me. I need to do this. I still have a fight in me and I don't want to give up my
yeah,
research career. So I'm just taking it all in and just re-strategizing. And I think I put it was a question asked, what would you like to know? How can we help you guys? Help me. And I was like, I would like to know how to pivot, how to
yeah,
connect and strategize into a new career. Uh,
yeah,
if someone can offer that feedback. But I enjoyed the conference and I hope I can attend more in the future
yeah.
and participate more in the future in some of the sessions as well. That's great.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. I think because you and I had a brief chat at the Institute, and I'm glad you had a chance to really just sit down and soak it all in and know that in this weird season of revolution and rest
Mhm.
at the same time, that everything will happen the way that it's supposed to.
Mhm.
And just remember that and know that we're here to help and support. So, I mean, the fact that yes, we do want to figure out a way to connect with our graduates who are in that pivotal season.
Mhm.
So let's keep that in mind because we're gonna talk about that because there are a lot
Okay.
of people in that same space. I like that. I like that. All right, Miss Marcia, you're on mute.
I'm moving my hand. I didn't move my hand fast enough. So I was just going to mention to Tomar and to Thomas that even though you may still want to be in academia, I am one of the early people who didn't choose the academic career. So
Mhm.
I started because Thomas, I was also in San Diego. So that tells you like how long it took me to get through graduate school. I finished in 2002, and I moved into the non for or the not for profit or association space. And so a lot of the skills that you're learning, whether you are doing bench research or using something in the social sciences, a lot of
Mhm.
that information and those skills that you're learning can translate into the association space. And so the association space is like sits between private industry and
Mhm.
academia and the government. And so that may be a place for you to pivot. I know, Thomas, you are like smack dab in the middle of association world. So it may be easy for you to find a local job, but they also have remote jobs and there are associations in every state of the
Mhm.
union. And Tomar, as you were looking to continue your research career, there are organizations that actually do conduct research, and so you may not have to leave that behind. So I'm open to anybody who wants to think about that. I'm not trying to persuade you to leave academia, but if you
Yeah.
find that that is not the right place for you now, I'm happy to talk to you and give you some resources to start looking for other opportunities.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That
I
sounds
appreciate
like
it.
a webinar to me,
Yeah.
Marcia. So,
It
Yeah.
certainly does. So,
oh, so Robert and I were just thinking the
mhm.
same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I think that's one of the other things that we really want to pull on from you all is sharing the information and the knowledge that you do have, whether you graduated 20 years ago or 2 years ago. There is some information, there's some knowledge, wisdom, expertise that you have that our folks need to hear. I don't know what it is, but it will be something. And so whether it's pivoting in our career, whether it's, how do I move up in my career, whether it's, how do I continue to do mentoring or anything like that. Those are the types of things that we want to showcase. And Veronica and I have been talking in more detail about putting together a webinar series that's more planned and that does not necessarily have to be, oh, we're only going to talk about education, DEI stuff for like the next year. Not so much. Maybe it's we have this thing about pivoting for your career, but we would like to do, at least in 2026 and moving forward, a more robust webinar series that allows you to showcase the knowledge that and the wisdom and the expertise that you have to other program graduates as well as to our students. So Marcia, Tomar, Thomas, sounds like y'all up first. Okay.
Okay. Well, and actually, I'm gonna call Fred and Tony out because Tony and I have been talking because there's a Black Association executive organization that I've connected her with, and Fred is actually sitting right down the hall from me because
Okay,
on our
Fred.
staff we have another SRED grad, so he can give you a different perspective because he's been in our space, but is for about a year, but has worked in other industries as well. So you might get a 2-for-1 through CHPA.
Oh,
Okay, I love that. I love that. Fantastic. Any other comments, any other things that you all would like to share about your experiences from the Institute this year?
I will.
Hey,
Since
Tony.
hi. So sorry I'm off camera because I'm not feeling that great today, but I wanted to make sure that I was present to at least listen in. Um, I got to meet Marcia for the first time in person, even though we like literally are living in the same county, but I met her for the first time at the Institute, and was happy that I could make it. And I'm also one of the people that lost their jobs and, back on the search again. Thankful that I had 2 interviews this week. Had one yesterday and I'll have one on Thursday, a final on-campus interview on Thursday. And so, with the encouragement from Marcia, who I met on this alumni call a few months ago. And so I think that meeting alumni has been really helpful, useful in my opinion. And I think that it would be great if there was
Yeah.
maybe even like a moment or a reception or something for alumni to be able to connect during the Institute. And so, I was thankful to be able to meet the people that I could, but when people are walking around, it's really hard to know who's currently matriculating and who's, already an alum. And so also had an incident that I didn't, that happened. And thankfully there were some alums that came to my assistance. I was in the lobby, preparing for it to be picked up by a sorority member that lives in the Atlanta area. So that was coming to visit on Saturday night. So I told her I had a free night for dinner. And I was talking to a couple of other alums, and there was a gentleman that I did not know that came up behind me and grabbed my arm and was making suggestive comments. And, I made it clear that we had never met, and those other alum stayed with me to make sure like that I was safe when I kind of asked for him to leave.
Yeah.
And he was hesitant to leave, and they just kind of stayed within sight and made sure that I was safe and made sure that I got into my car. And we actually found, and we didn't, since we exchanged first names, we found each other on the app, and they found me on LinkedIn and messaged me and asked me if I was okay. And they,
Yeah.
I was so thankful that they were there because it was just a scary
wow.
Yeah.
moment. And even when we parted ways after the brunch, we still connected on LinkedIn, and they were saying, just making sure you got home safe. And it was just I was so thankful that they were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And also that it reminded me of how we are always connected, with each other, even though we don't know each other personally. And so I wish that we had more time to talk to each other as alums, and we're from different parts of the country. And so if we had, an opportunity to do that, that would be helpful. And I also would love to, extend my gratitude, to them for being with me during a time that, something could have went
Right.
south. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, number one, Tony, thank you for sharing that. And I'm devastated that that experience happened. Um, I'm hoping that that will never happen again. And what I'd like to say to that is that I know that we hold this space in very high regard. And when things like that happen, even if it is difficult, it is very important for you to share stuff like that with us so that we know how to support you. Because I mean, listen, I will kick somebody out in a second. Okay, I did kick somebody out of the Institute this year. I didn't want to have to do it, but I will take it there. And so, just going forward in the future, number one, I hope that you still feel comfortable and safe enough to attend the institutes with us going forward. And if you or if anybody else sees anything like that that is very troubling, whether it's dealing with folks who are at the institute or just at the hotel, please, please, please let us know because I don't play about y'all. And I want to make sure that you all are safe and I want to make sure that you all are having a good experience. And so again, Tony, I'm terribly sorry that happened. That really sucks so bad, but I'm glad that you were around some alumni and some folks who were willing to look out for you. And that, means a lot as well. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
And I've felt safe because of the alums, and that I'll always come back. This person was actually someone that was just frequenting the lobby of the hotel. I actually had
Mm,
mentioned to other matriculating students that I had, we had appetizers at the bar upstairs, that he was at the bar that day, and I noticed that he was paying, looking from across the room, and I made it known to the people I
yeah.
was with, and we actually
Okay.
left. And so this was the same individual. And so,
Okay.
but I think I'd be happy to maybe assist with sharing some safety tips. I
Yeah.
don't go anywhere by myself.
Yeah.
I am a social worker, and I also advocate, against human trafficking in lots of different areas. And I feel like this was the case of seemed very familiar of some of the things that I trained about,
Yeah.
mentioning leaving with him and going to another country and all these other things. And so it was very, textbook. And so, and then, but I
Yeah.
was providing signals to the people. Thankfully, the other alums didn't leave my sight, didn't let me out of their
Yeah.
sight, and that I didn't leave the premises. And so, but mainly because it was, because this is a situation that I'm
Yeah.
familiar with. This hadn't happened directly to me like in the
Yeah.
past. And so, but thankfully, this person was not affiliated at
Okay.
all with SREB. But
Yeah.
I have remembered, his presence because it gave me a feeling,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but I think knowing what the next step should be, who I should say something to, or
Yeah.
of course, it's public space, so he had the right to be in the places, but
Right.
what we should
But
do,
not the right to harass you.
right. That was when the line was crossed, was when, I
Yeah.
realized that, okay, we need to have a plan for when this stuff happens, and to be warning to people that may be more trusting of individuals in this situation, and letting them know what they should do instead, and to not go places by themselves if they can help it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Marcia, yeah, whether it's a webinar or, I mean, anything safety related is, you always need to do things to make sure that you're safe, right? But I think even more so now, it's not something that we can just like, oh, well, that was just a one-time thing, because you never know. And just where we are in this space is very important for us to not only make sure that we're safe ourselves, but those who are affiliated with us and those around us are as well. So Marcia, we might have to look into that as well. Thomas, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, and I'll try to bring a little bit of, lightness, a little bit of humor to this. This is why it's important you need to make sure that, when you're meeting people, they have badges on, especially if you don't know them.
Yeah,
Because one of the things that we don't want to get in the habit of is making, things easy for both Freddie and Frida, the freeloaders. Okay.
gotcha. Yep.
So, yeah, and I've seen this. I've seen stuff like this definitely at the hotel in Atlanta. The Marriott Marquis in particular. So,
Yeah,
I think everybody should be on high alert. Certainly that we're going to be in, certainly in the nation's capital
right.
next year. So, just
Mhm.
make sure, and we can even have it in our little speeches on that Thursday night. Beware
Yeah.
of Frida and Freddie, the freeloaders, y'all. Please wear your badge. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. Other commentary. Raina, how's it going?
Good, good. I would like to thank the SRB staff for just a tremendous
Mhm.
Institute on Teaching and Mentoring, especially since we are going through legislation and all the DEI uh, issues and circumstances at this moment. I'd also like to thank all of the recruiters that came
Mhm.
and showed up and was gracious, and they are going through their own
Yeah.
troubles and trials and tribulations. And as most of you saw, there were probably less than half that are there typically.
Yeah.
I know, and Robert, you can correct me, I know that approximately, was it 29? Is that the right number, Robert?
We had 49 finally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
49,
Yeah.
sorry. So we had 49 total, and typically we have anywhere from 80 to 90 or even over 100.
Yeah.
So I wanted to commend them because they showed up, and as some of you have indicated, you're going through your own pivotal moments, and a lot of the recruiters are also having to look at their different departments and their colleagues, and even some of their own personal struggles while they're looking for jobs or trying to transition. So I wanted to
Yeah.
commend them. I wanted to bring a little light note and commend them for their time and their efforts.
No, thank you. We were so desperately glad to have those 49 at the Institute. And we have been having some internal conversations about how we might do some shifting in terms of bringing in institutions and organizations to recruit, because while there may have been some gains politically in some places, that's not often the case across the board. And, barring anything just like drastic happening between now and next year, I do imagine that we will still have relatively low recruiting numbers from institutions. So yes, we were incredibly grateful to have them there. And we hope that a lot of those will be able to return, but we know based on conversations that I had, based on conversations that Robert had, that even some of those institutions, barely made it in by the skin of their teeth. They made it in because they had just submitted their paperwork right, before, folks were like, no, you can't do things like that. And so that meant a lot to me personally. It meant a lot to the scholars who were able to connect with them. And, yes, we're still going to make sure that we have as many recruiting institutions as we can at the Institute. And we also have to look at some different avenues for recruiters. And so whether that looks like folks from the association space, whether it looks like folks from nonprofit space, whether it looks like folks from uh the NGOs. I mean, we just have to be very intentional about who and how we're bringing in recruiters, not just for this coming year, but really going forward. So, yeah. All right.
As
I
I
see
mentioned in
Latoya.
my
Go ahead.
comment there, if you have any colleagues in those spaces, NGOs, associations, in
International
industry and
institutions.
in international institutions, that's one place we're looking to expand as well, because international institutions are not going to be bound by the same craziness that American institutions are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I see Latoya Smith's hand and then Tia.
Yes. And so I just wanted to echo a bit of what I heard some students who are matriculating experience as they were expressing their appreciations for being at the Institute and just being in a safe space in that way. You know, we are all recognizing what's happening in the nation. And the implication for what that has for students is that they may not have those safe spaces on campus to speak about what it is to be a marginalized student matriculating at their institution. And so, of course, we've talked across the years about what mentoring would look like within the organization of SREB. And so I wanted to bring that to the conversation as well, as we're thinking about even those of us who have graduated years past and are transitioning in our careers. Maybe there's an opportunity to have that formal component for wherever you are, matriculating or post-grad, to have that safety incorporated into how you feel heard, respected, understood, and have the support you need to get to where you ultimately want to be professionally.
Yeah. Latoya, thank you for sharing that. And I'm gonna table the mentorship part because we're gonna come back to that. But T, I know you had some comments also that you wanted to share.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So in terms of my experience, this is my, seventh time? No, 7 years since graduation, probably about my fifth time coming. And so this year was real full. And so I came in strictly to support the retirement of our beloved Dr. A. So I didn't get the full experience, but I can tell every time I come it's just rich in networking, rich in support. There's always a word or a session that meets where I am. And so I'm in a different phase of my career. I'm not in the PhD mode, I'm in the career mode. And what stood out to me so vividly is that the structure that the organization has put in place to leverage the talent that is in our group, which is rich. And finding out ways to do that, I think, is going to be just a win-win-win for everyone. And so for those that are in the pivot mode, you have to think about the elite skills that you have. And I say elite because it is, when you're in the top 1 to 2%, you are elite. And so that brings value. You just have to look at a varying role for yourself. And I know for the work that we do, I'm in nonprofit, started the nonprofit during my PhD program. We're in our 15th year. Our focus really is about the K-12 community and how they're not adapting well post-COVID and post-pandemic. And my specific research dealt with, not only describing social determinants of health, but how to put in those infrastructure for schools and doing that to fully supports academic achievement. And so for those of you that are on that pivot, think about how you can leverage your skill set, especially to those entities, whether they're nonprofit, whether they're K-12, whatever it is, because, you are, in a sense, that problem solver for them. And so does that lend itself to an entrepreneurship, a consultant? Does that lend itself to you joining and partnering with an established organization? And so really looking at that for the variety of options that there are for us, because there are a variety of options. And so, perhaps I was in a little different because I got the bug early in my PhD, during my PhD journey, that, oh my goodness, here's a role. It just kind of opened up. And so instead of going into the PhD path, I did the PhD, of course, but instead of going into the let me start teaching on the higher ed path, I went straight into the nonprofit role, and I now see my teaching in the higher ed role as my retirement gig.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
I like that. And that's really so. Sometime last week, I was reading an article. It probably showed up on LinkedIn. I don't know, it was McKinsey or Forbes, but it was, whatever it was, they were talking about the fact that so many people are in this pivotal time space in their careers, and that a lot of people are kind of falling out because they're like, well, what do I do? These are the skills that I have. But that the absolute most important skill that people can have in the workplace very broadly is the ability to translate their skills to different roles. So it is that translational piece. And I think that is incredibly important. And I think that might be something that, again, it could be very helpful webinar wise. So if you know anybody who's really great on transitional skills, Tia, if you have somebody who would like to join you, and talk about what it means to, move into different spaces from academia, or like in our case, I very much consider the work that we do to be like tangential to academia. Like we're not on a campus, but we're very much working with folks on campus. We're working with our states and institutions, but having that ability to say, no, I don't want to be in academia anymore. I'd like to go do something else. How can I translate the skills that I do have into something else, and vice versa? Maybe I've been on a corporate or been in the corporate space forever, and I'm like, later for this. I'm ready to give back in a different type of way on campus. Those are the types of things that I think we're going to have to focus on, and I think that could be something that hopefully we can help you all with as program graduates coming into this kind of weird transitional space. Let's see, so hand raised. Vita, hand raised.
Oh yeah. Hello, everybody. Just real quickly, we were talking about, like as far as the recruiters and acknowledging the fact that some of them, came, under the risk of, not it not being agreeable with their maybe institution. Because I know at least one or two occasions where our photographer was taking pictures, and the guy said, well, we're not supposed to be here. So, there were people who really, came, and it was, I guess, maybe not going against their institutions, but not really, just finding a way to be here. But I want to say with this institute, I was surprised, Tiffany, and you may want to speak on this, just bring this to the forefront, where this was the first time we had a student, I know of one, because I had to process her reimbursement, but students who no longer feel safe traveling due to the whole immigration piece, or the um, racial profiling.
Yeah.
And so just, speaking to that, because, she was a student who said, no, I don't feel comfortable. I think she came by train, right? By train. But
I
just
think so.
think of the ones who came just on a wing and a prayer. I hope nothing happens at the airport. I hope nothing happens. And so just kind of speaking at that, and maybe how we can um, address that to a degree or whatever, for those students who might have anxieties about traveling,
Yeah.
and with their different credentials, especially if they're here on student visas or whatever. So
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
bring that up, since that was one thing in this institute that I had not encountered until this year.
Yeah. So that actually was I'm not going to say like a big, huge deal, but it did come up with several students. Many of you may know, some of you may not know, in terms of the DSP program for our state funded students, there are some of our states do have residency requirements, where they have to show that they're a particular resident of that state in order to receive the award. And then there's a very general rule policy that you do have to either be a U.S. citizen by birth or naturalized, or you have to be a legal resident to partake in this program. However, when it comes to our institutional students, or institutionally supported students, we leave some of those decisions more so up to the institution. So if there is an international student that they would like to support to be a part of their program, they can do that. That is up to them because they are the ones who are providing the full financial package for those students. And we did have several who were like, listen, I really, really want to come to the Institute. I've been before. I love it. I even invited my faculty mentor to come. However, because I am Ukrainian and have been targeted in my community at home, I'm very concerned about getting on a flight. There's all these things about ICE and there's just a lot going on. And those are some things that we had to take care. We, had to let them know, listen, if you're not safe coming, please don't, because I don't want to put your health or your sanity in jeopardy because you're, having to look over your shoulder, every couple of minutes. Do I think that this is something that we will have to continue to keep our eye on? Yes, because I do imagine that there will be more instances where folks are like, listen, I know I need to be here, but I really am uncomfortable traveling and I feel like I'm putting my safety in jeopardy. And again, like we were talking with Tony earlier, I mean, our priority is the safety of our participants. And, that's something that right now we are having to deal with on a case-by-case basis. But also given the political climate that we're in, it may be something that we need to have more conversations about and think about more broad policy. But right now, it's just something where we do need to take care of it on a case-by-case thing, but also make sure that our participants, whether they're program graduates, current students, affiliated programs, we want everybody to feel like they are entering a safe space. And if that travel to this safe space is making them feel unsafe, then, we need to be accommodating of that. Marcia.
Yeah, and so bridging off of that, because to me, safety amongst the attendees and the students and the speakers and the recruiters, but also extending that to the staff. And you mentioned it earlier about the unfortunate situation. So since Tiffany brought it up, I did want to commend the staff for how you handled that unfortunate situation, not going into details. And thankfully, those of you who don't know, that's a good thing because
That's a good thing.
the way that it was done professionally. But I remember when I was doing the registration and that it felt like I was filling out 15 pages of code of conduct, not realizing that it would come into play a more important role than ever.
Yeah.
But the safety is not only extended to the concerns are not extended only to the attendees, but the same applies and the same level of respect that is given to the attendees is due to the staff as well. And so I just wanted to commend you and the way the staff handled that situation. And hopefully that will be a reminder to everybody that everybody on premise, whether you are part of the Institute or not part of the Institute, is owed a basic level of respect because we are all human beings. So I commend the staff for how you handled that situation and make sure that you stood 10 toes down on if you're going to have a code of conduct, you're going to actually follow the code of conduct.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that it's interesting. We did have some communication with our communications team who was thinking that maybe our code of conduct is a little too long. There might be some things in there that we want to take out. And Robert and I both are like, absolutely not. There's a reason why that code of conduct is in place, not only as a reminder and as an agreement for everyone who, registers for the Institute, but for safety for everyone who is even remotely affiliated with the Institute. So, yeah. Let's see, we're getting to 12:45. The one last thing that I wanted to really kind of talk about today as one of the larger pieces that I'd like for this group to focus on and for us with this group to focus on is the mentoring piece. We've had a lot of requests from our current students who are very much interested in connecting with our program graduates so that they can see, hey, I might need a mentor. We're very much on the lines of, mentoring is a very personal relationship, but if we can, again, build those networks and build those communities and even take it a step further and make intentional introductions between our graduates and our students, we think that that could be an incredibly poignant piece for everyone in our program. And so I see Tiffany has her hand raised, and I know she and I have had some offline conversations about mentoring. So I wanted to give you a couple of minutes to chat it up with us as well.
Yes, thank you. That's funny. When I saw it was a quarter till, I raised my hand, and then you brought up exactly what I was hoping to talk about. So,
Nice.
yeah, I think, whether we call it mentoring or coaching or just buddying or whatever, I think that this would be a really impactful program and way to use our time to really help. So I would like to propose that perhaps we start a small committee of us alum that can help to get this off the ground. And I don't know what this will look like at this time, and maybe you don't either, but whether it's a matching system or it's you're on a list and someone might reach out to you at some point, or it's you put together a bio and then students pick who they want to match with, or groups even. I don't know, but maybe we can assemble a small committee to come up with some ideas and think about some ways to implement things, and then we can reconvene and talk about it and see what kind of interest we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say that within that context, ideally, I would like to have something in place for this coming academic year. So in the fall, so starting fall 26 for the 26-27 academic year. And I absolutely would like to put together a committee of folks who would be interested in kind of seeing how this could work and what are some best practices. I think between all of us on this call and even the ones who are not on this call, we know what good mentoring and coaching looks like. And so if there is a way for us to be able, even if we start on a very small level, I'm not talking about like putting together a brand new commission program type thing. I'm talking about something that can supplement and complement the work that we're already doing and the work that you all are already doing. We know very much that, service is a piece of the whole tenure packet when you're on a tenure track position in academia. But I mean, there's also a lot of very altruistic and intrinsic value that comes from mentoring. And I think all of you know that as well. So anything that we can put together, Tiffany and I have talked about this before. We definitely want a committee together and to probably bring all of us back together, I'd say probably early February, so we can start having like real conversations. What could this look like? Who needs to do what? What's the format? What's the plan? And how are we going to, share out the news, make it work? I'm hoping that, between February and August, we should be able to get a solid plan in place for us to be able to provide these services, and for you all to share your expertise and wisdom and talent with our current students, but also with you with each other. Because listen, there are folks who graduated 20 years ago, there's folks who graduated 2 years ago, there's folks who graduated yesterday. And everybody, is going to need their own type thing. But when we're able to, sit together and really put some intention behind this, I think it could be a really great thing for everyone.
Can I
So-
ask one other question
yeah,
about
please.
it? So I see there's 18 folks on the call, and I'm wondering what the real numbers of alum look like. I know, I know that there are tons of us, but those who are regularly engaging or that maybe, because I feel like there are a lot more scholars than
Yes.
are on this call right now.
Absolutely. So I think right now our program graduate number is around 1,310-ish. The folks that we are continually engaged with are typically you all on this call, and the folks who also come back to the Institute as volunteers, presiders, presenters, and things like that. And that being said, part of the goal with doing these office hours sessions is also to continue to grow the engagement piece with our alumni. So, I mean, we absolutely can get all the contact information for the folks on this call, but I mean, we do have 1,300 graduates that are out there doing something. Not all of them are on campuses. Most of them are, but there are folks in all kind of spaces that could very well be interested in doing this type of work and doing this as a way to give back to the program as well.
Okay. So, and perhaps it's an opportunity to do small groups if
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. I saw Marcia's hand and then Thomas.
Actually, Thomas was up first, so
Okay, all right, Thomas.
Oh, thank you. I feel privileged. Yeah, I mean, certainly this is something that I've thought about probably for a good 15 to 20 years, post my first institute in 1998 in San Diego. So, and I have actually kept up with quite a few people who were my former roommates, for example. But I think what Tiffany said, and both Tiffany's have said, really resonates. Certainly, yeah, you want to look at people, like who are on this call. You want to look at people who've been presenters. You want look at people who've been presiders, multiple times.
Thomas.
Because one of the things that happens is as time goes on, I'll be sitting down at a table and here come like 15, 20 people, coming over to thank me, and I'm like, and you are? And a lot of that happens because I make it a point at every session, but especially the plenary sessions and the luncheons, to sit with a different group of people. That is really the power of the institute. I mean, this past institute, I didn't think I was gonna have time to do anything because I'm up here trying to leave, and here come like 5 or 6 more people. And then those same people show up at all the sessions that I'm presiding over. So, and I'm like, look, I'm with my wife this year, so you have to
They're
you
not
have to
worried
get
about
your
that.
questions out pretty quickly here. I'm gonna be divorced, so but that is the power of the institute. I mean, I was looking at the last couple of years, and I remember his name's Morel Godfrey. Well, Morel Godfrey and I started at the institute at the same time. We were both in San Diego as graduate students, and now he is high up in the administration at the at Ole Miss of all places. Okay, and I'm a department chair, and so this is why you have to stay connected. To me this is been my second family. It's since 1998. It's not even close, not even close, because most of my conversations dealing with careers and things like that are people who I've met at the institute. And so I was very fortunate, of course, to have many people from my institution, from Harry, to come through the pipeline after me. And so that's important. But yes, in any way that you would like me to support, certainly, I'm here for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that truly.
so
Marcia.
yeah, so actually what Thomas said actually dovetails with what I was gonna say, and that is that while the formal mentoring program or loosely formalized mentoring program is being established. We can all be mentors, to Thomas's point. I know that, I guess 2 years ago, I met a couple of students at LSU that are in the biological sciences, and we've just stayed in touch over the years. And I happened to check in with them over the Thanksgiving holiday, and they were both having meltdowns because they are going through some of the same things that I went through going to school in Louisiana as I was trying to get my PhD. And they're almost the exact same point when the things started going off the rail, so to speak. And so I would say that we're all able to mentor, whether it's going to be officially as a SREB mentor or just having those connections that you make. And it doesn't have to mean that you keep in contact with them every day. I talk to them maybe 2 or 3 times a year, or when they reach out, or when I think about them and I kind of get a sense I hadn't checked in on them. So I would just challenge us all to think about that, that even though you might not be labeled as a mentor per se, we can all serve in that capacity, especially those who are coming through the pipeline, because unfortunately it doesn't seem like anything has changed. And so it's still not a nice smooth path for us to make it through. So anything that you can do to make sure that the students don't get discouraged and leave, because I've been exactly where Thomas was, and it was other people who encouraged me, and the Institute every year encouraging me to make sure I stayed focused and didn't take that, 6-year PhD, or 6-year master's degree as a
Right.
full-time student. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Are there any other comments for the good of the cause? We will be reaching out to you. Our Tiffany and I will get together so we can reach out to some of you all about joining us on our mentoring journey, whatever that looks like. We do fully intend to keep this as a quarterly check-in meeting. So at the beginning, because I have not looked very far into the calendar for next year, and with a new president coming on board, there a few things that have to take a little more priority. But I'm very committed to making sure that we keep this space available for you all. The office hours will continue to be a very informal session, because I think sometimes we just need that space to, see people who are familiar to us, who have been through the things that we've been to or been through, and, kind of talk those things out. And so we will at the very beginning of the year, we'll send out some messaging about what the dates and times are for our quarterly meetings for next year. Anything else? Edward, how you doing? Good to see you.
Congratulations. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be at the meeting this year, but I'm looking forward to 2026. My question is, how can non-SREB affiliated students, faculty, staff experience some of the magic that is at, the Institute next year? And I think it's Arlington.
Yeah.
Is there a way that if there's like a non-member, non-SRB affiliated category because of either, citizenship or, all the issues that we've addressed and been listening to here?
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing about the Institute is that we're not exclusionary. So as long as it's someone who is interested in the work that we're doing, and feels like they can bring value to it, we can provide them with an invitation to attend the Institute. There are costs associated with that. And Robert will be putting together the price sheet for next year, because we probably have to go up on a few things. But we will make that available to everyone so that you can share with folks who you feel like, listen, they might not be awarded by SREB, they might not be in an affiliate program, but they can definitely benefit from the environment and the space that we provide. We absolutely want them to be in attendance. And so we'll make sure to share out that information with you all. When it's registration time, which will be here before we know it, it'll be early spring. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, this has been a fantastic call. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom, expertise, experiences, stories, and also taking out the time at the beginning of December. I don't know about y'all, but it's kind of cold here in Atlanta, which is unusual for where we are.
17
But
degrees.
yeah, like what's with that? I don't like it at all. But again, if there's anything that we can do for you between now and the end of the week, please make sure to reach out to us and let us know. The office will be closed at the end of the business day on Friday. We'll reopen on January 5th. Oh, and last thing, the application for students for next year, so for 26-27, will also be opening on January 5th. So we've had some social media posts about it. We'll keep reminding folks when you see any of the social media posts, please make sure to share it out to your networks as well. And that's it. You all please have a wonderful, restful, joyful, to as much as you can stand time over the holidays. And we will see you in the new year.
Everybody,
All right.
happy holidays.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy
Take
holidays,
care.
everyone. Please stay
Everyone.
safe.
Great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.